Okay, we're going to look at an interesting idea on the Haggadah. About the authorship of the Haggadah. Who wrote the Haggadah?
Isn't it over time or something?
So certainly wasn't all written at once. There are some things that were earlier and some things came later. But who wrote the first Haggadah? So we'll see something interesting here, starting on the left side of the page, from Rabbi Dov of Belzer, who is the grandfather of the current Belzer Rabbi. And he writes the following. He quotes the pasuk that says, "Vayomer Hashem al Moshe, Bo Paroi." Hashem says to Moshe, "Come to Paroi." This is the very beginning of Moshe being sent. Sorry, not the very beginning. And this is towards the end of the 10 Makkos, where Hashem says, "Come to Paroi, because I have hardened his heart and the heart of his servants, in order that I should place my wonders amongst them, in order that you should tell into the ears of your child, or ben bincha, and your grandchild, that I played around with Mitzrayim and all the miracles that I did amongst them, and you should know that I am Hashem." Okay, so Hashem's telling Moshe, we're going to finish off now the plagues, and this is all in order that you should tell your children and your grandchildren the story. So a question that Rabbi Dov of Belzer asks, why does the pasuk begin in Lashon Yachid, in singular, Uleman Tesaper, in order that you, singular, should tell the story to your child? V'siyim b'Lashon Rabim, but concludes in plural, V'yidatem ki Hashem, and you will know, plural, that I am Hashem. So you, singular, are telling the story, and you, plural, will know that I am Hashem. It should have started off in plural. You, plural, all the generations should tell the story to their children. Or conclude with singular, you, singular, should know. Why is it saying that you should tell the story singular, as if there's only one person telling the story? So the Belzer explained, if you look at it, you find that the Jewish people collectively were not able to completely fulfill the mitzvah of telling the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim to their children. Why? Because they and their children were in Mitzrayim. And they saw with their own eyes the miracles and wonders of Mitzrayim. They experienced it themselves, so they saw it. Like it says in the Torah, you saw what I did to Mitzrayim. So telling the story, you tell the story to somebody who wasn't there. But somebody who was there, to tell them the story, well, I was there, I saw it myself. So it's not. You're not telling me anything new. I experienced it myself. So for the Yidden of that generation to tell the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim to their children say, yeah, we were there. It's no chiddush. Ulam, however, Moshe Rabbeinu haya yachid b'dorei shayachal l'kaim mitzvah sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim b'shleimus. Moshe Rabbeinu was the only one in the generation who was able to fulfill the mitzvah of telling the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim completely, properly, as like a story that's news, as information. Shreibanav loy hayu b'galus Mitzrayim, because his children were not in Mitzrayim. Hakasav says in the Torah, "Vayikach Yisrei chaysen Moshe es tzipora eshes Moshe achashil acheha." Like it says that Yisrei, the father-in-law of Moshe, took Tzipora, Moshe's wife, after she'd been sent. Where had she been sent? She'd been sent home. She didn't come back with Moshe. How did Moshe get married? He was in Mitzrayim. He saw the Egyptian hitting the Jew. He killed the Egyptian. Then the news got out that he was being chased. He left. He ran away to Midian. That's where he met his wife, Tzipora. And they were blessed with 2 sons, Gershom and Eliezer. And they didn't come with him. They were on the way back to Mitzrayim, that they didn't come to Mitzrayim. As Rashi says, the next paragraph, Pirush Rashi, K'sh'amalei Hakadosh Baruch Hu b'Midyan lech shuv Mitzrayim. When Hashem told Moshe in Midian, go back to Mitzrayim now. Vayikach Moshe ishtav es banav ito. It says that he took his wife and his children with him and went back to Mitzrayim. V'yotza Aaron likrasei. Aaron, his brother, came to greet him as he was returning. V'yifgosher b'har Elokim, and met him at Har Sinai. Amalei mihem halalu. So Aaron says to Moshe, who's this? He's got a woman and children with him. Who are these? Amalei zuhi ishti shenosati Midian ve'ela banai. This is my wife that I married in Midian, and these are my children. Amalei. So Aaron says to him, where are you taking them? Where are you going? Amalei the Mitzrayim. So Moshe said, we're going to Mitzrayim. We're going back. Amalei. So Aaron says, Al Rishonim on Mitzrayim. It's pain enough on the original inhabitants, the Jews in Mitzrayim who were there already. Now you're bringing more Jews to Mitzrayim. So he said to his wife, go back to your father's house. Go back to your father's house. Go home. Take the kids and go home. Not l'shnei banei v'halchala. So she took her two children and she left. She went home. So this is Rashi on the pasuk in Shmos. Nimsu ki rak Moshe Rabbeinu hayachal l'kaim koroi mitzvah Mitzrayim l'banav shaloi hayim Mitzrayim. So therefore, the first Pesach after Yetzias Mitzrayim, when there was a mitzvah to tell the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim, Moshe was the only one who could do it properly because his kids didn't know, they didn't experience this. This was an amazing story for them to hear. This was something to inform them, to tell them. Whereas everybody else, their kids were there, they knew what had happened. Okay. Yeah. So what it answers is that pasuk is that you, Moshe, should tell the story because you're the only one that is going to be able to tell it as a story that the kids don't know about. At that time. So that we'll see. But Tzarech Biur, second last paragraph there on that column. Now we need to explain Madu Siva Kosh Baruch Hu Misav Kol Sibus Kach. Why did Hashem make it in such a way that only Moshe Rabbeinu, his kids were not there in Mitzrayim? Everyone else was there. And so the first Pesach, the first time the story is being told, Moshe Rabbeinu is telling it to his kids, and they never heard this before, and they're hearing it for the first time. Why did it happen that way? Okay, we understand the episode, Aaron says to Moshe, why are you bringing more people into Mitzrayim? But you could have argued, that they'll be okay. Like they were Levim, just like Moshe and Aaron weren't slaves. They weren't going to go and be slaves. So why did Hashem organize things in such a way that Moshe Rabbeinu had a family, but that were not in Mitzrayim and caught up later and would have heard the story for the first time properly on the next Pesach with Moshe? Why did Hashem make it such a way? Just like Hashem managed to take 600,000 people out of Mitzrayim, he could have managed to take out Moshe and his two sons out of Mitzrayim. Wouldn't have inconvenienced Hashem to extend Yetzias Mitzrayim to them as well. So why did it have to happen in such a way that Aaron's suggestion was taken?
That someone should have not been in Mitzrayim.
That's right. So that
because this is what's going to be in other generations that we weren't there. So there's a whole thing about giving it over to someone that wasn't there.
Right.
So that's
feeling that we were there. So they would have the feeling that they were there, not actually being there, whereas the others were there.
Very good. The Tiritz al Piyam Avur B'Zohar Kodesh. So he explains like this. The Belzer explained like this. What it says in the Zohar: Shekasher Ish Yisrael Masapel Labana B'Leil Pesach Nisim V'Niflois She'aseh Yimona Kadosh Baruch Hu Mitzis Mitzrayim. That when a Jewish parent on the night of Pesach tells the story to their children about the miracles that Hashem did for us in leaving Egypt, Yesh B'Zeh Skula Miyuchedes Lahashish B'Kerev Banav Emunat HaBoyer Yisbarach Shmai. There is a special power to that telling of the story on Pesach specifically, that it infuses in the child emunah, a really deep faith in Hashem. That the whole Seder experience and the whole Pesach and the Haggadah experience is not just commemorating something or telling a story, it's to infuse emunah in the child. And even though anytime it's good to learn and tell stories but on the night of Pesach there's a special power that children absorb emunah. It gets into their bones. So says the Zohar, particularly on the night of Pesach. That's what we're doing, is we're conveying to the next generation not just our story, but our emunah. And the emunah gets absorbed on the night of Pesach. So says the Zohar. Lefize yesh loimer, shelachein siva kosh baruch hu Moshe Rabbeinu yeh hamsaper harishon b'yitzias Mitzrayim. So that is why Hashem made it that Moshe Rabbeinu should be the one telling the story for the first time of the exodus from Egypt. Ki ein safek shebarov kedushasai kiyem mitzvah zu betachlis hashleimus. Because there's no question that Moshe Rabbeinu, in his great holiness, he fulfilled this mitzvah perfectly, completely, totally, and correctly. I mean, who could tell the story better than Moshe Rabbeinu? In kol kavanas, with all of the kavanas, all the right intentions and all the right thoughts, in his great holiness, he did the job properly. And so he merited to infuse into his children emunah in Hashem and in the Torah in a full way. And so through this, he paved the path for all generations, for all future generations, that when you fulfill this mitzvah to tell the story of Yitzias Mitzrayim to your children, in all future generations, and you have in mind that I want to do it like it was given in the Torah to Moshe. Moshe told the story, he did it right. He did it in a way that will really give it across. So I want to do it in that way. So then you will feel, at least you'll be able to fulfill it in a way to influence your children with the same emunah, the same way Moshe Rabbeinu did it. So Hashem organized that the very first Pesach, the very first Seder, the very first Haggadah should be one that is Moshe Rabbeinu's level. He's doing it on his level. And by doing that, it established that every Seder, every Haggadah, every family doing the Seder is doing Moshe Rabbeinu's Seder. So he was the only one who didn't have children there. He did it the first time properly, and that set the tone for all Seders, for all future times. It'll always be that way. And so that will explain why it says in the pasuk, L'man Tesaper, in singular, you tell the story, Moshe. The mitzvah is for you to tell it because you're the one whose children weren't there. And now for all future generations, the children who weren't there will get your version of the story. Because every Seder, every Haggadah is like that.
Does that have to do with the matzah giving us emunah?
Also, the matzah is also the food of emunah.
And the four is the second.
And also, the matzah is called lechem oini,
Yeah.
lechem she'onim alav dvarim harba, the bread that we speak many things over. That the speaking, the telling the story, is like in the matzah. You eat the story with the matzah, and the emunah is absorbed and becomes a part of you. So, okay. So now, what's fascinating is that Moshe Rabbeinu here is the one who tells the story properly and fulfills it properly. So, an interesting point is that where do we find Moshe Rabbeinu spoken about in the Haggadah? Moshe Rabbeinu's role in Yitzias Mitzrayim, where is it spoken about in the Haggadah? What do we say about Moshe Rabbeinu?
I think nothing.
Yeah, it's not really.
Yeah,
I think
it's mentioned.
something it says Moshe.
There's one pasuk in passing we quote Moshe Rabbeinu. We just say the word Moshe, and it's not even relevant to the thing. and that is when it's going through Rabbi Yosef Glili is going through all the makas, what was in Egypt and at the Yam. It says Vayara Ames Yal Gedol Hashasa Hashem Mitzrayim Vayaminu B'Hashem of Moshe Avdoi. The people saw the great work, hand of Hashem that he did in Mitzrayim, and Vayaminu B'Hashem, they believed in Hashem and in Moshe his servant. Which that end of the pasuk is not even spoken about in the Haggadah. It's just there because it's the end of the pasuk. In fact, in older versions of the Haggadah, in earlier prints of the Haggadah, the earliest versions, it's not there. The pasuk is chopped, which in fact is a strange thing to do. Generally speaking, you don't chop up psukim, which is why we have the whole pasuk. But it seems in earlier Haggadahs, only half the pasuk was quoted, almost dafka. That the one time that Moshe could have been mentioned, no, we're not going to actually finish that pasuk, we're going to leave him out. Which, at first glance, seems very strange, that Moshe Rabbeinu is the main player, he's the hero of Yetzias Mitzrayim, he's the leader. For him not to be mentioned at all is significant. Okay, it seems strange. So the various commentaries try to grapple with and come with answers. There's many answers and explanations as to why. Here, this is from Rabbi Pinchas Friedman. He brings a couple, and I'll tell you a few others as well. So now on the right column, the second paragraph. So the Vilna Gaon question this: why is Moshe not mentioned in the Haggadah? Because when Moshe went to Paroi, he wasn't successful in getting the Yidden to come out of Mitzrayim. Because Pharaoh hardened his heart and didn't let the Jewish people go out when Moshe asked. It was only when Hashem himself came down, his very self, in order to slay the firstborn of Egypt. That's when Paroi acquiesced and let them go. Therefore, we don't mention Moshe being sent to Paroi. To tell you it was Hashem who did it, it wasn't Moshe's shlichus that was successful. Moshe was no more than the servant doing his master's bidding. Hashem wants you to go and warn Paroi. He's not going to listen to you. It was only when Hashem came down and did Makas B'cheres that it was fully achieved. And so therefore, that's it. He's not mentioned. That's the Vilna Gaon's answer why Moshe is not mentioned in the Haggadah. The Chafetz Chaim explains, even though Moshe was the Shliach Hashem, he was sent by Hashem to speak to Paroi to take the Yidden out of Egypt. But we don't mention that shlichus in the Haggadah, because Moshe was humble, and he didn't want to be mentioned that he was the one who took the Yidden out. That only Hashem should be mentioned. He took us out of Mitzrayim. That all the praise should go to Hashem, nothing to Moshe. He didn't want to take any credit. Because Hashem does the will of tzaddikim, so Moshe is not mentioned in the Haggadah because he didn't want to be mentioned in the Haggadah. In fact, there's some Mefarshim say when it says "Loi alidei malach," not that Hashem wasn't it didn't do it through a malach, through an angel, not through shliach. It's referring to Moshe Rabbeinu, not through Moshe. It was through Hashem himself. That's the emphasis. Another fascinating answer I saw was from the Kloisenberger Rebbe, who was he survived the Holocaust and rebuilt after the Holocaust. He lost a wife and 11 children, and then remarried and started again after the Holocaust. So he writes, the reason why Moshe Rabbeinu is not mentioned in the Haggadah is because there'll come a time when the Jewish people won't have a Moshe Rabbeinu. We won't have a leader. We won't have a Navi. We won't have that type of leadership. And we'll think that we have no hope now. Like if we don't have a Moshe Rabbeinu to take us out, so then, what's going to happen to us? So he says that we should know that even with Yetzias Mitzrayim, it wasn't Moshe Rabbeinu, it was Hashem that took us out. And in fact, even Moshe Rabbeinu, he wasn't the one who really took us out. When Moshe Rabbeinu was told that the Jewish people are guilty of and deserving of being in Mitzrayim, he understood it. It says Achein Noda Hadavar. He understood when Nadav and Avihu, when Dasan and Aviram were complaining to him, why did you kill somebody and you're going to kill us, and like they spoke like that. He said, Achein Noda. Now he understood why they're in Mitzrayim. Even Moshe Rabbeinu understood why they were in Golus. So it wasn't because of Moshe Rabbeinu we came out of Mitzrayim. It was because of Hashem b'chvod v'atzmai. And so the Haggadah doesn't have Moshe Rabbeinu's name in it for the generation that will not have a Moshe Rabbeinu to say, it's all right, we can trust in Hashem. Hashem will take us out. There's no person we have to rely on. Hashem will be the one. That's another answer. However, he says here, based on what we said earlier, that Moshe Rabbeinu was the first one to tell his children the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim properly, because they didn't know the story. Because Moshe Rabbeinu was the first one to tell the story of the miracles of the Yetzias Mitzrayim to his children, in order to blaze a path for future generations, that when we tell the story to our children, we're telling Moshe Rabbeinu's story. We're telling it from his mouth in a way that will impact our children, inspire them, and imbue them with emunah. So certainly Moshe Rabbeinu, in his great humility, when he told the story to his children about all the miracles, he didn't tell them that Hashem chose me and sent me to go and take the Yidden out of Mitzrayim. For sure he wouldn't have said that. He's an honor. He's not going to bring the attention to himself. So the first version of the Haggadah was Moshe Rabbeinu telling his children. It wouldn't have mentioned Moshe Rabbeinu because it was him. He was telling the story, and he would not put himself in the story. He would dafka not. So therefore, so now we understand why the Haggadah does not mention the name of Haggadah of Moshe in the entire Haggadah. Because when we tell the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim in the Nusach that the Haggadah was written in, we will always notice that Moshe Rabbeinu is not mentioned in the Haggadah, and it's often mentioned, it's often spoken about that Moshe is not in the Haggadah. Just like Moshe, who wrote the first Haggadah for his children, he certainly did not put himself in the Haggadah. It wasn't a story about him. It was about Hashem taking us out. So then when we tell the story, we're also telling it without Moshe in it, just like he told it, and because we're trying to tell it like he told it. We're trying to align ourselves with Moshe Rabbeinu's power of telling the story, which impacted his children the way we want to impact our children. So, therefore, Moshe is not mentioned. As we know, when the name is not mentioned, sometimes it's hinted at. For example, in the Megillah, Hashem's name is not mentioned in the Megillah, but it's hinted at as Yud Kei Vav Kei in Rosh Tevis and certain places. So if Moshe is not mentioned in the Haggadah, but maybe he's hinted at in the Haggadah. Yomtuk lefarish b'zeh mashesim bal Haggadah shel Pesach es ates vav simanim halalu delel seder b'teves nirtza. It's interesting that of the 15 steps of the Seder, Kadesh, Urchatz, Kapas, Yarchatz, the last one is Nirtza, which means we should be accepted. What we do, which is a bit strange. Like that's not something to do. Like we don't.
It's one line.
It's debated. It's debated exactly what nirtza is. In the Chabad, In the Chabad Haggadah, it's Halal Nirtzah. It's put together. Halal Nirtzah. It doesn't. Nirtzah is not a thing. There's Halal and Nirtzah. Nirtzah means it should be accepted. It's not us doing anything. It's Hashem doing something. It's not something to do. So in other Haggadahs they put Nirtzah later on after Halal, but exactly where or what do you do? All the others, it has instructions what you do. Kaddish. Yeah, you have to make Kiddush. But Nirtzah, it says it should be accepted by Hashem. Okay, so what do you want us to do? Why is it one of the simanim of the Seder? So he says here, bring from something that's brought in Mekubalim, that Nirtzah hu gematria Moshe. The word Nirtzah has the gematria of the name Moshe. Many have said different reasons. Rabbi Godas Kol Yehuda Shevi B'Shem Marid Mibel Sharemes B'Deshe Kol HaMitzvah Shekiyamnu B'Leil Lazeh B'Kern B'Torah HaKadosha Shenitnu L'Moshe B'Sinai. One remez is given also by Rabbi Yisachar of Belzer, that it's saying that all the mitzvahs we did tonight are all given by Moshe in the Torah. Nirtzah is Moshe. Everything we did is given by Moshe. But based on what we've said, we can say another idea. That the author of the Haggadah is hinting to us, if you merit to tell the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim on this night, the way Moshe did, just like Moshe told his children who weren't there, you tell your children who weren't there, but you tell it to them as Moshe's story, the way it came from Moshe, who we know was the first to tell the story, and by doing that he opened the path for all generations to tell the story in his way, with his power, with his strength. Then you merit that your avodah, everything you do, all the work you do, all the effort you do on the night of the Seder should be nirtzah, accepted and pleasing to Hashem. Because the reason why Hashem made it, that Moshe Rabbeinu's children would not be in Mitzrayim and not experience it, and he would be the only one telling the story in the next year as a new story to his children, was in order that for all generations we should have that power. So therefore, we should know that as we sit at the Seder, we do our best. We try to make the Seder into something meaningful and enjoyable and inspiring for the kids. We try to engage them and get them involved and teach them, and that they should imbibe something and it should affect them. But we're tired. We've been working hard. It's busy on the night. You're trying to look after everyone and the guests and everything that's going on, and we can only do our best. But when you know that, don't worry, Moshe Rabbeinu opened the path for us. He's the one who started this. He did this the first time, and he was the only one doing it the first year where his kids needed to hear the story, and they didn't know the story. And he's Moshe Rabbeinu. And he did it in a way that all generations, we will be telling his story. We'll be telling it his version. He wrote the first Haggadah. He's the original author of the Haggadah. That's why we don't mention Moshe in it, because he wouldn't mention Moshe. So we're doing it in his style as well. Even though we would mention Moshe, but no, we don't want to because he didn't. We're going to do it the same way he did. And by not mentioning him, we're mentioning him even more. And so therefore, Nirtzah, it'll be accepted. Hashem will be pleased. It'll be effective. It'll have the impact that our children will be uplifted, inspired, because it's like Moshe's voice speaking through us and telling the story to them.
So when Moshe told the story, was it mostly just Ma'avir, or there were all
Well, I don't know.
the Kairach is like Hillel sandwich,
Yeah.
which is later, but the concept of Nirtzah, exists already then, or
What was Nirtzah? What is Nirtzah means?
very loose?
So he was saying Nirtzah means Moshe, that Moshe told the story. Moshe came through. That would have been later. Yeah.
Like let's say Hilach Ma'anya is in Aramaic. It says that
was added in Golas Boel.
in Hebrew. I mean,
Correct. That was from
it would have been.
That was from Golas Boel, and
That's what I'm saying. And then later on, it would have been.
Yep.
And also
Yeah.
there was one stage they decided to put all the simonim on the Seder plate because they wanted to have everything they were going to eat during the Seder. I think.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And the egg and the zroya, that was after the Churban, like as well. Like there's
And even them understand of what was different. You know, the question they had was about the Korban Pesach.
Yep.
Why is it roasted?
correct.
That's like roast.
You know what I'm saying? Yes,
Yeah.
very true.
Yep. Okay, so according to this, who wrote the Haggadah? The first Haggadah was written by Moshe Rabbeinu. Not that the Haggadah we have is all written by Moshe Rabbeinu, but the core of it, the story is from Moshe Rabbeinu. I found something really fascinating in a very interesting source over the back of this page. This is found in a Haggadah called Haggadah's Tzemach Menachem. It's a Haggadah written by Reb Aaron Menachem Mendel Guterman, who was the Radzimina Rebbe in Poland.
Wow.
Radzimin is one of the Polish Hasidic dynasties, and
It's only not family from there.
Rabbi Yaakov Arya Radzimin was a famous Rebbe, and this is his grandson. Who was interesting. He died in about 1830. This one, and he was a very interesting character. He was a student of his grandfather, Rabbi Yaakov Arya Radzimin. He was also a student of the Avnei Nezer of Sochachov, and he was also a student of Reb Shlomo Zalman Schneerson of Kopust. Kopust is one of the offshoots of Chabad, of the Tzemach Tzedek's sons all became Rebbes. One of them was the Kopust Rebbe, and he was a Talmid of Reb Shlomo Zalman of Kopust. And so it's interesting that in his writings, he has like a bit of a marriage of Polish Hasidus with a bit of Chabad influence as well. And so he's got a beautiful Haggadah called Tzemach Menachem. He was married first to the daughter of the Biala Rebbe for 40 years. They didn't have children, and they got divorced. I don't know if that's why. And he got remarried to the daughter of the Kamarna Rebbe, and also didn't have children. And so he passed away childless. But in his time, he was very active. He wrote a few Svarim. He taught in yeshiva every day. He was the head of the Meir Balanest Tzedakah for Eretz Yisrael. He also visited Eretz Yisrael in the early 1800s, and he was the first person to put up a mechitza at the Kosel. The Kosel, if you look at the old pictures of the Kosel, it was just
When did you say he passed away?
1830. So he he put up a partition at the Kosel. Anyway, so this is from his Haggadah. On the first page, the inside cover of the Haggadah, it says Inyan Kosher Eliyahu Navi Zachar L'Tov. The concept behind the Kosher Eliyahu, the cup of Eliyahu Navi that is brought at the Seder. Listen to what he writes. Hine, kasher de minhagim shal Yisrael Torahi. Being that a minig of the Jewish people is Torah. V'noyagim b'chol tfutzis Yisrael etzel kos ravi limzoi kos echad yosem amasumim. The current osa kosher Eliyahu Navi Zachar L'Tov. So the minig is in all Jewish communities that when we pour the fourth cup, which is the cup of Hallel, we pour an additional cup, which we call the Kos Shel Eliyahu. Chabad minig has become to pour it earlier, to pour it before benching. Originally, the Chabad minig was not that; it was later to pour it after benching at the fourth cup for Hallel, and that's what most people do. But the Chabad minig, and the Rebbe says specifically to pour it before benching, and he says the reason is because the Geula is coming closer, so we bring the Kos Shel Eliyahu even closer. So, but anyway, the minig is to pour an extra cup. In addition to everybody at the table has a cup, there's another cup, not for somebody who's at the table, and it's called Kos Shel Eliyahu Navi. V'gam noigim liftoyach haPesach lechvod Eliyahu Navi, and we also open up the door in honor of Eliyahu Navi. V'gam noigim lokum v'loim baruch haba. And there's also a minhag of standing up and saying baruch haba. I haven't seen that minhag, but he writes there is such a minhag that when you wake up, open the door, you stand up and say baruch haba. There's another time we do say baruch haba. By bris. Who is saying baruch haba to?
The baby.
So people think we're saying it for the baby. But why do we say it to the baby? Like, why say welcome to the baby? I'm not sure the baby feels so welcome. And what's the point of saying it? We're saying Baruch Haba to Eliyahu Navi at a bris. And he says there's also a minhag that some have to say that at the Seder. Baruch Haba. At the time when you open the door, you say welcome. And that is because this is a very correct thing to do, and it's a big tikkun, it's a big correction, and those who know Kabbalah will understand why saying Baruch Haba and opening the door is doing a very big thing. But even not al pi Kabbalah, we can say on a simple level an explanation to this inviting Eliyahu Navi, welcoming to the Seder. I heard from my father, he says, who heard from my grandfather. So his father was, I think, Rabbi Yeshua of Radzamin, who's heard from his grandfather, Rabbi Yaakov Ari of Radzamin. Who heard from the holy mouth of Rabbunim of Peshischa, who was the father of the Polish, all Polish Chassidus. That the Rabbunim of Peshischa said this, listen to this, that he could see from the language used in the Haggadah of Pesach, specifically in the section before the four sons, where it says Baruch HaMakom Baruch Hu, blessed is the omnipresent, blessed be He, blessed is the one who gave the Torah to Israel, blessed be He, Baruch Hashem Baruch Hu, Asher Dezel Lashon Nizka Kama Pamim B'Hatana Dvei Eliyahu HaKadosh, which that expression Baruch HaMakom Baruch Hu is mentioned several times in Tana Dvei Eliyahu, a section of Talmud which are teachings from the house of Eliyahu. So from this, Reb Simcha Bunim says, I can see from the wording of the Haggadah, Asher Eliyahu and Navi HaKadosh Zachar L'Tov HaYabal HaMasader HaGadosh Shel Pesach.
Wow.
That Eliyahu HaNavi, the Holy One, and may he be memory be a blessing, he was the one who put together the Haggadah of Pesach. He's the author of the Haggadah. So said Rabbunim Peshischa. So therefore, after we fulfilled the telling of the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim by reading through the Haggadah, we've eaten the matzah, we ate the maror, we've drunk the 4 cups, which all correspond to the 4 expressions of Geula, and the 4 times the word kois is mentioned in the Torah in the dream of the butler that Yosef was able to interpret. 4 times it says the word kois, and this hints at the redemption of the Jewish people that will come in the future. The 4 cups in the dream of the butler hint at the future redemption. It says in the Gemara such a thing. That there are 4 cups of punishment that Hashem is going to give to the enemies in the future, and those 4 cups are hinted at in the 4 cups that are mentioned in the dream of the butler. And we know that the Geula from Mitzrayim, the redemption from Egypt, was the opening of all future redemptions, including the Mashiach. Especially the future redemption, because hidden in the power of redemption of Mitzrayim was the future redemption. That's why we say, like it says that like the days that of Yetzias Mitzrayim, I'm going to show you wonders and miracles. which is that pasuk is hinting that already in the Yemei Yetzias Mitzrayim, the experience of Yetzias Mitzrayim, the future redemption is included in that.
It sounds very much rabbitic.
Yeah. Yeah, and like it says, B'Nisim Nigalu, B'Nisim Hasidim Legoel, that they were redeemed in Nisan, that will be redeemed in Nisan. It also says about Moshe Rabbeinu in the Zohar. It says that Mashahayahu Sheyiyah, that what was will be. That Moshe is Rosh Teva's Mashahayahu Sheyiyah. What was will be. That Moshe took us out of that redemption. He'll take us out in the future redemption. So the whole Geula of Mitzrayim is really the forerunner and the drawing down and the bringing into the world of the future redemption, of all redemptions. Ulakach kasher de bechol b'chinas nes v'Yeshua shahaya ba'ezeh zman mahashana. V'agia oisa yoyim bechol hekef shana mis'or in hazel lamayla b'soid ha'kosev v'yom ha'elin iskarim v'nasim u'bechol de'v'dor v'chol shana v'shana u'kanoda k'yudu mitam Arizal. So it's known that the Arizal taught that when a Yontiv comes around, when the day of an event happens, so the event, the energy, the power, the spiritual blessing of that day comes down again and repeats itself, is present all over again. So the miracle and the wonders and the redemption and all that power is here when we come to that day again. And this is even more powerful when we speak about the miracle. Not just the day itself. The day coming around revives the miracle, but speaking about it even more so. Question is, as he says, I explained elsewhere in my writings, that reading the Torah arouses the time, arouses the power of the time. When we read the Torah, the parasha of that Yontiv, we bring about the power again. And this is hinted at in the Gemara Yuma, where it says you have to read the correct parasha. The parasha of the day brings about the power of the day. This is actually the Arizal's original teaching is on the Megillah, where it says the Rebbe quoted this every single Yontiv pretty much, that that these days are remembered and done, which is a very awkward phrase. These days are remembered and done. So the Rizal says in his Karim that when we remember, when we commemorate, when we do the mitzvahs of the day, Nasim, then the day is done all over again. It happens all over again. It actually is brought back into the world. So in the case of Purim, by reading the Megillah, so we bring about the power of the miracles of Purim into the day of Purim. When it comes to Pesach, by reading through the Haggadah and telling the stories of the miracles on the day. So we've got the power of the day and the power of the reciting of the day, talking about it. We revive it, we bring back the day itself. It comes down into this world.
Also like by the Haggadah that we're saying about it?
Correct. Yes.
It's not only reading the Torah.
Yeah, reading the Haggadah, for sure. For sure.
You kind of feel it also, like, you feel like it's something special. Like,
correct. And it wouldn't work if you would do it today, it's not the same. But when you do it on the night, and this is the night it happened, this night has that energy, the power of
but even like
Gula.
the whole Nissan, it's like you feel like it's, when you're getting ready and you do feel something.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, like,
Yeah. So therefore, ulakach, he says, after those square brackets, at the end of the line, ulakach acher. Yeah, acher at the end of the line. Ulakach acher de omarnu Haggadah shel Pesach b'simcha rabba. So after we've read through the Haggadah of Pesach with great joy and enthusiasm, so reading that, going through that, the story of the Haggadah, arouses the power of the time, of the night itself, of the Exodus. Which is the general redemption, not just of back then, the future redemption as well. The power of Geula is drawn down on Pesach. And so what's hidden in the story of the Gulas Mitzrayim is also the Geula Hasidah, the future redemption. That all redemptions came. The Maral says this. He says that how do we celebrate Pesach in Golus? What's the idea of celebrating? We're free, Zman Cheruseinu, and we're in Golus. And and this is true of all times throughout our history, that the Yidden who have been in the middle of the Holocaust, or in the Spanish Inquisition, or in Golas Bavel, when there were slaves in Babylon, but they're celebrating Pesach still, that we left Egypt. It's great you left Egypt, but where are you now? Like, what does help you now? So the Maral says that what happened is this, that when we left Mitzrayim, we became free be'etzem. Essentially, by definition, we are free people. Hashem took us out of all slavery then. We cannot be'etzem, by definition, be slaves. We can circumstantially be in slavery, but we cannot essentially be in slavery. Our definition is that we're free people. We're free from then on. And so, therefore, any other slavery or golus, exile, anything we may be in, that is a temporary circumstance that is superimposed on us. It's not an essential state that we're in. Had we stayed in Mitzrayim, it says, had we not left Egypt, Hari anu uvanenu uvnei vanenu mushabadim hayidnu far Mitzrayim. We'd still be slaves. Why? Maybe something would happen. How do we know? Maybe the government would fall. Maybe there'd be an earthquake. Maybe something would happen and we go free. Had we not been taken out of Egypt, we would have still been slaves. The Yetzias Mitzrayim took us out of that definition, out of that identity of being a slave. And so therefore, even if we're being enslaved, that's a circumstance, that's not a definition of who we are. And so that's where we left Egypt. That is forever. And so therefore, even the Geula Siddur, the future redemption, it started already in Mitzrayim, because in Mitzrayim, that was the beginning of everything. That was the beginning of the big process of Geula, where we became be'etzem free. So therefore, so therefore, there's a special power on Pesach that the potential should become an actuality. That which is hidden should become revealed. The possibility of Geula that is hidden in Yetzias Mitzrayim should actually come to the surface, and we should have the complete Geula. We should actually have the redemption, because it's there in possibility, in potential. And we've aroused it, we've brought it back down, we're experiencing it all over again. So now what was hidden at the first exodus from Egypt, what was hidden at the very beginning was the future redemption. It should come out, it should actually happen. Hagula Sida Lavid Meherumenu, which is the future redemption that should come very soon. Lakach, it's Lakois Ravi, Hudamazamnim, Eselio, Novi, Hakodesh, Laharis Loi, Ki Anachnu, Kiyamnu Mashamut Aleinu. So therefore, when we come to the fourth cup, we've come to the end of the Seder, so we pour another cup and we invite Eliyahu Navi, and we tell him we've done what we're supposed to do. We've done it. It's the night of Yetzias Mitzrayim. We've told the story. We've drunk the cups. We've eaten the matzah. We've gone through everything we're supposed to do to arouse the Geula power. It's all here. It's all in front of you. Everything that you put in your Haggadah, Eliyahu Navi, you're the author of the Haggadah. You've set out. This is the path. This is what we're supposed to do. So we've done it. We've done it with great joy. So if we've done all we're supposed to do, so now you, Eliyahu Navi, you have to do what you're supposed to do. Which is that you have to awake for us. You have to appear for us now on this night, the night which is called Leil Shimurim. Hanemer Bei Shimurim L'Doros. What does Shimurim mean? Leil Shimurim, the Torah describes the night of the Seder as being Leil Shimurim. Leil Shimurim can be translated as the night of guarding. And one of the explanations of that is that it's a night where we have special guarding. We're guarded from mazikim. In fact, if you look at the straight out reason for opening the door on the night of the Seder, it doesn't say it's for Eliyahu Navi. The straight out reason, the simple reason for opening the door on the night of the Seder is because it's Leil Shimurim. It's a night of guarding. We're not scared of mazikin, of negative powers and negative energies. We're also not scared of anti-Semitism on this night. We open the door wide, even though at that point of the Seder we're about to say Shvoicha Mascha Al Goyim, pour your wrath on the nations that do not know you. We're asking Hashem to take vengeance on our enemies, which is a time when maybe we should do it quietly with the doors locked and the windows closed to make sure nobody hears. But because it's Leil Shimurim, we're not scared. We open the door and we say it with the door open. We're not scared of anything. And indeed, it brings in Shulchan Aruch that Leil Shimurim means we're guarded, and so therefore you can leave the doors open this night. You don't have to even close or lock the doors on the night because we're guarded from all negative things. Although Shulchan Aruch, being also very practical, says if you're in a place where there are a lot of ganavim, thieves, then you should lock the door. You shouldn't leave it unlocked. But that we're guarded from any negative, the negative forces of the world. That's why we open the door. But another explanation for Leil Shimurim means guarded. Also, it means that it is set aside. It's a night that's been waited for. And so Chazal say that Leil Shimurim, the night of the Exodus, was set aside to wait for redemption to happen. That some of the redemption happened on this night, Yetzias Mitzrayim. That's the beginning. But what's hidden in that is the Leil Shimurim, the night that we're waiting for, that we're expecting, that we're anticipating, which is the ultimate redemption. So therefore, Leil Shimurim means the expected night, the waited night, the night that has been set aside for the future to be the night of redemption. And so that would fit with the other reason of opening the door, and that is to welcome Eliyahu Navi, that Eliyahu Navi, who is the Mavaser HaGeulah, the one who announces that Mashiach is here. So we're opening the door that he should literally come in, because it's Leil Shimurim, it's the night when we're waiting for the announcement of the Geulah. So therefore, we're pouring a cup for Eliyahu Navi, and we're saying, we've done what you instructed us to do. You made the Seder, you made the Haggadah, you told us the instructions, this is what you should do to draw down the Geulah power. We've done that, so now you have to do what you have to do, which is, you have to come and announce to us that the redemption is here. And we should merit that next year we should be with Mashiach in Yerushalayim, which the Frierdiker Rebbe explained, why is Lashon Haba? Doesn't mean that we have to wait till next year. It means we should, now the Geulah should come, so therefore next year automatically we're already in Yerushalayim. It should happen very soon.